The Wolf's Lair, East Prussia, 20th July 1944. A moment that could have changed the course of history. What happens when some of Hitler's own generals turn against him? These men risked everything, including their lives, in the hopes of overthrowing the Nazi regime from within. From clandestine meetings to bold assassination attempts, their stories are nothing short of extraordinary. So let's uncover the names of these men who almost altered the course of history. Ludwig Beck. Beck had a distinguished military career, rising through the ranks to become Chief of the General Staff of the German Army from 1935 to 1938. Initially, he supported Hitler's rearmament policies, viewing them as a means to restore Germany's military strength after the Treaty of Versailles. However, Beck's perspective began to shift as he witnessed the aggressive and reckless expansionist ambitions of Hitler, which he believed would lead Germany to disaster. Beck's opposition became evident during the Sudetenland crisis of 1938, when he strongly opposed Hitler's plans for war against Czechoslovakia. Fearing the catastrophic consequences of such an action, Beck resigned in protest, marking a significant turning point in his life. The resignation marked his transition from a loyal military officer to a covert opponent of the Nazi regime. As World War II progressed and the atrocities of the Nazi regime became more apparent, Beck became increasingly involved in the resistance movement. By 1943, he had joined the inner circle of conspirators planning to remove Hitler from power. The 20th July plot, also known as Operation Valkyrie, was the highlight of these efforts. The plan aimed to assassinate Hitler and seize control of the government to negotiate a peace settlement with the Allies, thus saving Germany from further destruction. Beck's role in the plot was both strategic and symbolic. As a respected military leader, his involvement added credibility to the conspiracy, attracting other high-ranking officers to the cause. Beck was to become the head of state in the post-Hitler government, underscoring the conspirators' desire for a legitimate and orderly transition of power. On July 20, 1944, Colonel Klaus von Stauffenberg planted a bomb in Hitler's headquarters, the Wolf's Lair. Although the bomb exploded, Hitler survived the assassination attempt. The failure of the plot led to a swift and brutal crackdown by the Nazis. Beck, who was in Berlin awaiting the outcome, was arrested. Rather than face the humiliation of a show trial and inevitable execution, he chose to take his own life. His initial attempt failed, and he was subsequently shot by a soldier on orders from General Friedrich Fromm. Hans Oester. By the late 1930s, Oester had become deeply involved in efforts to overthrow Hitler. He served as a major general in the Abwehr, the German military intelligence, under Admiral Wilhelm Canaris, another key figure in the resistance. Like many other army officers, Oester initially welcomed the Nazi regime, seeing it as a necessary force for stability. However, his views took a dramatic turn after the 1934 Night of the Long Knives, when the SS brutally purged the leadership of the rival SA, along with several political adversaries. This bloody purge included the shocking murders of General Kurt von Schleicher, the second-to-last Chancellor of the Weimar Republic, and Major General Ferdinand von Bredau, the former head of the Abwehr. In 1938, Oester met General Ludwig Beck, the Chief of the General Staff, for the first time. This meeting laid the groundwork for what would become the Oester Conspiracy of September 1938. The Oester Conspiracy of 1938 was one of the earliest organized attempts to overthrow Hitler. Alarmed by Hitler's aggressive foreign policy and the impending threat of war, Oester and his colleagues planned a coup to prevent the invasion of Czechoslovakia. They sought to kill Hitler and neutralize the leading figures of the Nazi regime, intending to install a provisional government that would negotiate peace with the Western powers. However, the plan ultimately failed due to a lack of support from key military leaders and the rapid success of Hitler's diplomatic strategies, which averted immediate conflict. Despite this setback, Oester continued his resistance activities. Oester was involved in the July 20th plot of 1944, although not the mastermind of the assassination attempt. He was, however, deeply involved in the broader conspiracy. He provided crucial intelligence, coordinated with other conspirators, and helped plan the post-coup government structure. Oester was apprehended the day following the failed assassination. On April 4, 1945, the discovery of Admiral Canaris' diaries led to a furious response from Hitler, who, upon reading them, ordered that all current and former conspirators, including Oester, be executed. On April 8, 1945, Oester, along with Wilhelm Canaris and other conspirators, faced a conviction and death sentence handed down by an SS drumhead court-martial. At dawn the next day, Oester was executed by hanging at the Flossenburg concentration camp. Erich Höppner. Erich Höppner is a name often overshadowed by the more prominent figures of World War II, but he played a significant role in the July 20 plot. Höppner was an outspoken early critic of Adolf Hitler's rise to power, actively participating in several plots aimed at overthrowing Hitler. Höppner joined the Oster conspiracy. This group planned to assassinate Hitler and overthrow the SS if Hitler moved to invade Czechoslovakia. Höppner's role was to lead the 1st Light Division towards Berlin to seize key objectives from the SS forces in the city. However, the conspiracy collapsed following the negotiations by Neville Chamberlain and Edouard Daladier, marked by the signing of the Munich Agreement. An early supporter of mechanization and armored warfare, Höppner led his troops during the invasion of Poland and the Battle of France. Höppner commanded the 4th Panzer Group on the Eastern Front during Operation Barbarossa, the invasion of the Soviet Union in 1941. While he resisted the mistreatment and murder of prisoners of war in Poland, Höppner later advocated for a war of extermination in Russia. Under his command, units collaborated closely with the Einsatzgruppen and enforced the Commissar Order, which directed Wehrmacht forces to execute Red Army political commissars immediately upon capture. In January 1942, Höppner sought permission from Günther von Kluge, the new commander of Army Group Center, to withdraw his overstretched forces. Kluge informed him that he would discuss the issue with Hitler and instructed Höppner to prepare for the possibility. Believing that Hitler's approval was forthcoming and unwilling to delay further, Höppner ordered a withdrawal on January 8, 1942. Fearing Hitler's reaction, Kluge promptly reported Höppner, inciting Hitler's wrath. As a result, Höppner was dismissed from the Wehrmacht that same day. Hitler decreed that Höppner be stripped of his pension and prohibited from wearing his uniform and medals, violating both the law and Wehrmacht regulations. Höppner filed a lawsuit against the Reich to reclaim his pension. Since judges at the time could not be dismissed, even by Hitler, Höppner won the case. Höppner participated in the July 20 plot and was present at the army headquarters. After the coup attempt failed, Höppner was arrested and tortured by the Gestapo, given a summary trial by the Volksgerichtshof and sentenced to death. Like other defendants, including Erwin von Witzleben, Höppner was forced to wear ill-fitting clothes and was not allowed to have his false teeth during his trial as a form of humiliation. Höppner was hanged on August 8th in Berlin's Plötzensee prison. Henning von Tresckow. Initially, Tresckow supported Hitler because he opposed the Treaty of Versailles. However, he quickly became disillusioned after the Night of the Long Knives and the violence against the Jews. His disapproval for the Nazis grew even further with the Blumberg-Fritsch affair in 1938 and the Kristallnacht. As a result, he connected with other opponents of Hitler, like Erwin von Witzleben. By the late 1930s, von Tresckow had joined the Oster conspiracy, a clandestine group of officers and civilians who sought to overthrow Hitler. One of Tresckow's most notable contributions to the resistance was his involvement in several assassination attempts on Hitler. He believed that the removal of Hitler was essential to end the war and save Germany from complete destruction. He confided in co-conspirator Fabian von Schlabrendorf that both duty and honor demand us that we should do our best to bring about the downfall of Hitler and National Socialism to save Germany and Europe from barbarism. Tresckow's relentless determination reached its peak with his involvement in the audacious July 20 plot, known as Operation Valkyrie. Though Tresckow was not physically present in Berlin on the day of the assassination attempt, his strategic mind was instrumental in the meticulous planning and preparation that preceded it. Tragically, the bomb planted by Klaus von Stauffenberg failed to kill Hitler, only wounding him. The failed attempt led to the rapid collapse of the coup. After the failed assassination attempt and the subsequent coup in Berlin, Tresckow chose to end his life at the front in Krolowy Most near Bialystok on July 21st. To protect other conspirators, he made it look like a partisan attack by firing his pistols first and then detonating a grenade under his chin. In a farewell letter, Tresckow expressed his belief that the struggle against Hitler would one day be vindicated and that Germany would be reborn in freedom and honor. He was buried at the family home in Wartenberg. However, when the Nazis figured out his role in Operation Valkyrie, they dug up his body and took it to the crematorium at Sachsenhausen concentration camp. Erwin von Witzleben. As early as 1934, Witzleben demonstrated his opposition to the Nazi regime by joining Erich von Manstein, Wilhelm Ritter von Lieb, and Gerd von Rundstedt in demanding an investigation into the deaths of Kurt von Schleicher and Ferdinand von Bredau during the Night of the Long Knives. This, along with his criticism of Hitler's persecution of Werner von Fritsch in the Blomberg-Frisch affair, led to Witzleben being temporarily forced into early retirement. However, his retirement was short-lived, as Hitler soon required his services for preparations for the Second World War. In 1944, the conspirators of the July 20 plot viewed Witzleben as the central figure in their plans. Witzleben was expected to play a crucial role in the post-coup government. He was to assume command of the Wehrmacht and implement martial law to stabilize Germany. However, the plot's failure led to his swift arrest. On August 8, 1944, he was tried by the People's Court, a show court led by the notorious judge Roland Freisler. During the trial, von Witzleben was denied a proper defense and subjected to humiliating treatment. Witzleben was sentenced to death. Witzleben's last words in court, addressed to Freisler, were, "You can turn us over to the executioner. In 3 months, the outraged and tormented people will call you to account and drag you through the filth in the streets alive." Witzleben was executed that same day at Plotzensee prison in Berlin. The dramatic scenes from Witzleben's show trial were captured on film for the German weekly newsreel. However, propaganda minister Josef Goebbels ultimately decided to shelve the footage. He feared that Freisler's abusive tirades in the courtroom might create sympathy for Witzleben's cause. Additionally, the regime was eager to smother any public chatter about the event. Thus, the material was locked away and classified as secret. Well, that's it. We hope you enjoyed our video. Let us know in the comments which story you found the most interesting, or if there's another historical figure you'd like us to cover next. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more fascinating history content.